What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel. We've got some crazy surprise news today. Larian accidentally pushed out patch 8 to PlayStation 5 players in Europe and Asia this morning, so we're going to be covering everything that we just got a sneak peek little look at. According to the community manager, the patch update was mistakenly pushed to players on PlayStation 5, even though the stress test itself hasn't even begun. A big heads up if you did download the accidental patch 8, any new saves will not be compatible with patch 7, now that the issue has been fixed and the update has been rescinded. Although this sucks for PlayStation players who woke up and thought, no way, patch 8 surprise? Only to get edged out by incompatible save files. One great thing for Baldur's Gate 3 players has come from this. We all just got a big sneak preview of all the new subclasses getting added in the new update. I've been monitoring this all day so far while I was at work, and folks have been sharing screenshots of the new subclasses and their features and tooltips on Reddit, so we're going to discuss everything that we know so far. Larian has been pretty clear in one of the recent community updates that some of these new subclasses would include some homebrew changes, so these details have largely been one of the biggest mysteries about the upcoming content patch. All of the screenshots that we're about to look at have come from Redditor user VeniVidiVigo, so big thanks to them for nabbing these this morning. But let's go ahead and pull up these screenshots and see what we can find. First off, I want to note that it looks like Booming Blade is one of the new cantrips being added to the game with patch 8. We already knew about Toll the Dead, but Booming Blade is a fantastic option previously only available through mods. It even appears that you can trigger a Divine Smite at the same time as Booming Blade, so that's like incredibly powerful and makes Paladin builds even more insane than they were before. The other additional cantrip we're getting is Bursting Sinew, which you can see down over here. And Bursting Sinew does 1d10 piercing damage in an area of effect when you turn a former enemy into a ticking time bomb and explode their corpses with their friends around. This is really fun and just gives you a whole bunch of really cool options to do with throwing bodies and making them explode. It's really, I mean, it's corpse explosion. What else is there to say about it? But now we'll take a quick look at the subclasses. Starting with the Path of the Giant Barbarian, we have the potential for some really cool throwing builds. The subclass starts with increased carrying capacity, Vaprax Greed, which increases your carrying capacity by 25%, and you will also get access to Giant's Rage, which allows you to increase your size whenever you rage, doubling your rage damage bonus from thrown attacks. At level 5, the subclass gets access to the Boot of the Giants, which is basically a bonus action Spartan kick, and completely new. This is not in the official tabletop version of the subclass. Elemental Cleaver at level 6 allows you to infuse your main hand weapon with additional elemental damage of your choice, also adding the thrown and returning weapon property. This means we can imbue basically any weapon in the game into an elemental throwing weapon, which is seriously cool. In tabletop, this feature turns all of the weapon damage into the element of your choice, but this tooltip as written says additional, so it's not entirely clear whether that part is translating over. If it does carry over, then you could potentially do Great Weapon Master plus the weapon damage plus the additional damage and have it all be cold or lightning and get doubled from the wet status effect, which would be absolutely insane. I have a Path of the Giant build using one of the mods that does that and is really a ton of fun. I will link it above for you to watch if you so desire. And also at level 10, the Giant subclass gets access to Mighty Impel. Mighty Impel is a bonus action throw ability that lets you pick up and throw medium or smaller creatures, which is really freaking sweet. Combine this with a Cleric that's got the Corpse Explosion spell, and you can throw bodies and then explode them with your next action. That's too much fun. One of the subclasses that I'm really excited for is the Drunken Monk. When you pick this subclass at level 3, you'll get access to your Drunken Technique, Cheeky Tipple, and Drunken Performance. Drunken Technique is kind of like Flurry of Blows, but it also gives you 3 meters of extra movement speed and the effects of the Disengage action. Drunken Performance is pretty simple and will give you proficiency in the performance skill. And Cheeky Tipple, on the other hand, makes it so we no longer suffer negative effects of being drunk. I wish. and once per day, you will regain half your ki points when you drink alcohol. That's pretty cool too. At level 4, you get access to Intoxicating Strike, which is an unarmed attack that makes your enemies drunk, which you can do with either a regular action or a bonus action. As you can see here, we have 2 versions of it. And at level 7, the Life of the Party is a passive feature which gives you increased armor class and attack roll bonuses against targets that you've made drunk with your Intoxicating Strike. So this is a really fun build that allows you to drink some liquor, punch some folks, run away, come back in, punch them again, still be drunk, get your enemies drunk, and then get even more power off of because now they're drunk. What are you doing? This is a crazy subclass, and I'm pretty excited to use it. Another one of the really interesting subclasses is the Swashbuckler Rogue. When you first pick this subclass, you'll get access to Fancy Footwork and Rakish Audacity. Fancy Footwork lets you avoid opportunity attacks against enemies after you hit them with your melee attack, and Rakish Audacity allows you to trigger Sneak Attack as long as you don't have disadvantage on your attack roll and are in melee range. At level 4, you'll get access to your Dirty Tricks, which includes Vicious Mockery, Flick of the Wrist, and Sand Toss. Vicious Mockery is mostly the same as usual, but uses a bonus action and also gives you advantage on your next attack. Flick of the Wrist allows you to disarm your enemy, also gaining advantage on your next attack. And Sand Toss allows you to have Pocket Sand and blind your enemies, giving you advantage on your next attack roll. At level 9, you'll learn Panache, which is basically a mid-combat persuasion check that inflicts disadvantage on your enemies or charms them, which is really cool. It doesn't work on beasts, constructs, elementals, monstrosities, plants, or undead, so it's mostly just against humanoids, but that's still cool. Next up, we have the Blade Singer Wizard. When you choose this subclass at level 2, you'll learn how to channel your Blade Song in combat. The Blade Song gives you a +3 bonus to your armor class, 3 meters of extra movement speed, advantage on acrobatics checks, and a +3 to Constitution saving throws, so the subclass will be a master at maintaining concentration on spells. You'll also get training in War and Song, proficiency with light armor, and in the performance skill, you'll get proficiency with daggers, sickles, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and long swords, so this is perfect for the Phalar Alluve. The Blade Song ability also gives you access to unlocking a Blade Song Climax and the ability to accumulate Blade Song charges in combat, which I honestly don't entirely know what they do, so that will be something that we discover together. At level 6, you'll get access to your extra attack, and at level 10, you'll get Song of Defense, which allows you to expend a spell slot while you are using your Blade Song to subtract 5 damage per spell slot. Really cool. Next up, we have the Hex Blade Warlock, which is the ultimate blade-packed melee warlock. Starting from level 1, you gain the ability to scale your weapon attacks off of Charisma instead of waiting for Pact of the Blade at level 3, so this is a perfect subclass for a 1-level dip for Gish-style characters. You'll get proficiency with all martial weapons and medium armor, plus shields, as well as the shield spell, which you can kind of see hiding down here. You can also bind your hexed weapon, which allows you to apply your charisma modifier to your attack rolls and damage rolls instead of your dexterity or strength. The subclass also has access to a unique Hexblade's Curse, which is similar to Hunter's Mark, but when you kill an enemy, once you get to level 6 and learn the Accursed Spectre passive, any enemy that is affected by your Hexblade Curse will turn into a special undead summon when it dies. At level 10, you'll get access to the Armor of Hexes, allowing you to use your reaction to attempt to completely negate incoming damage against a cursed target with a 50% chance of succeeding. Additionally, our screenshotting friend on Reddit claims that the Hexblade includes access to Eldritch Smite, meaning that the patch will come with some new invocations. Eldritch Smite is an ability which in tabletop lets warlocks do an evil warlocky smite attack using their warlock spell slots, doing force damage instead of radiant damage, so that's even more sweet. Next up, we have the Arcane Archer Fighter, which has a bunch of cool Larian homebrew changes. Similar to the Battlemaster Fighter, the Arcane Archer is able to infuse its ranged bow attacks with specific effects that can do either more damage or have different battlefield control effects. You can choose Bursting Arrow, which explodes for 2d6 force damage in a small radius. We have Beguiling Arrow, which deals 2d6 psychic damage and charms enemies. We have Seeking Arrow, which deals 1d6 force damage and applies fairy fire to a target. Grasping Arrow deals 2d6 poison damage while reducing enemies' movement speed and dealing additional damage when they move. Enfeebling Arrow will deal 2d6 necrotic damage and turns enemies feeble for 2 turns. Banishing Arrow simply banishes your target to another plane of existence for 2 turns. Shadow Arrow deals 2d6 psychic damage and blinds your targets. And finally, Piercing Arrow deals 1d6 piercing damage in a straight line for AoE collateral damage. You can't see that behind my head here, but trust me that it says that. One of the other subclasses we're getting is the College of Glamor Bard, whose main gimmick is the Mantle of Inspiration. This ability allows you to use your Bardic Inspiration die to give your allies 5 temporary hit points, and if they get attacked, the enemy who attacked them will become charmed. Mantle of Majesty Command, on the other hand, allows you to use a bonus action to cast the command spell on an enemy. If they are already charmed, they automatically fail the save against your command, which is really cool. For our Druid subclass, we get access to the Circle of Stars. The Circle of Stars Druid is a primary caster who doesn't often use animal forms, but can if needed. When selecting this subclass, you learn 3 new wild shape forms, being the Archer form, Chalice form, and eventually the Dragon form too. The Archer form allows you to use your bonus action to deal extra radiant damage called the Luminous Arrow, and that is really fun because it just means you can do a Guiding Bolt followed up by another mini Guiding Bolt. The Chalice form, on the other hand, allows you to use your bonus action to deal additional healing whenever you heal an ally. And the Dragon form gives you advantage on concentration saving throws, and a roll of 9 or lower is automatically a 10. You can also cast Dazzling Breath on your bonus action while using the Dragon form, which I don't know entirely what it is, but I imagine it's kind of like a big breath attack. Breath is in the name, that does like radiant damage maybe? That sounds really fun. I like that. At level 6, the Circle of Stars Druid gets access to Cosmic Omen, Wheel, and Woe, allowing you to gain a d6 that you can use similar to either Bardic Inspiration or Cutting Words. Depending on whether you get Wheel or Woe, you can either buff or debuff your allies or your enemies' attack rolls, saving throws, and any other ability check that you so desire. Additionally, this subclass has access to Star Map Guiding Bolt, which you can see hiding away down here, which gives you 3 free casts of Guiding Bolt per short rest, which is really awesome because it means that you can do a whole bunch of extra Guiding Bolts for the hell of it. Next on our list, we have the Swarm Keeper Ranger, which is a subclass where instead of having 1 powerful animal companion, you have a whole swarm of animal companions. When you choose this subclass, you can decide whether you want to have a legion of bees, a cloud of jellyfish, or a flurry of moths as your swarm. The jellyfish cloud deals extra lightning damage, can shock enemies, or teleport you to a safer location. The moth swarm can inflict psychic damage, blind the enemy, or teleport you. And the bees deal additional piercing damage, push enemies, or teleport you, like the other 2. Additionally, the Praise Scent passive also makes your swarm deal additional damage to targets affected by Hunter's Mark, so you could stack these for even more damage of your swarm's type. At level 7, you'll learn the Writhing Tide, which is a passive feature that enables your swarm to coalesce and lift you up, granting you a flying speed of 3 meters to protect you from dangerous terrain and move you out of the way of any enemies. I imagine this subclass being really fun with an archery build where you attack your enemies and then your swarm just fully encompasses them and they're like, bees, moths, jellyfish, huh? Why are there jellyfish in the sky? I don't know. Next up, we have the Death Domain Cleric, which comes with a really fun range of abilities that is different from other Cleric domains. Channeling your divinity for this subclass allows you to deal extra necrotic damage when you strike a creature with a melee attack. At level 5, Turn Undead becomes Destroy Undead, dealing 4d6 radiant damage to any undead that get destroyed. At level 6, we get Inescapable Destruction, which is a passive ability that allows our spells to ignore resistance to necrotic damage, which is perfect for Act 2 and all of the undead present there. And at level 8, your Divine Strike, which is normally radiant damage for most clerics, does 1d8 of necrotic damage instead. So pair this with the Channel Divinity, and you've got some serious necrotic melee damage to dish out. And finally, we have the Shadow Magic Sorcerer subclass, which starts with Superior Dark Vision and the Strength of the Grave. Strength of the Grave is basically a free death ward that you get starting from level 1, which is really powerful. At level 3, you learn Eyes of the Dark, which lets you spend 2 sorcery points points to cast the Darkness spell, making yourself immune to the blinded effect in the process. This is perfect for Darkness builds and team compositions, obviously. Additionally, at level 6, you learn how to summon the Hound of Ill Omen with 3 sorcery points, which is your spooky evil dog that looks kinda like Scratch if he spent some time in Avernus. The screenshots that we have access to don't specify the Hound's abilities in any great detail, but it looks like we have a cool bite ability, dash, hide, jump, dismiss, and it looks like entangle as well. However, in tabletop, this summon is able to travel through NPCs, see invisible creatures, and imposes disadvantage on saving throws against creatures that the Hound is standing next to. This makes it an excellent companion for a sorcerer who can reliably hit almost any save or suck spell, and means that you don't have to cast Heightened spell. You can just have this dog run over and stand next to somebody, and then cast something like Hold Person, and they'll have disadvantage on the save. At the time that I'm making this video, the Redditor who uploaded these screenshots hasn't yet posted anything for the Oath of the Crown Paladin, but my assumption is that it will be similar to other Paladin subclasses with different subclass-specific spells. In tabletop, this Paladin subclass learns Command, Compel Duel, Warding Bond, Zone of Truth, Aura of Vitality, and Spirit Guardians. Zone of Truth isn't in Baldur's Gate 3, so it'll be really interesting to see what spell Larian has replaced this one with, while Spirit Guardians is legit awesome to have on any martial character with extra attack and heavy armor. But that just about does it for this short little breakdown of all of the upcoming classes that we got a peek at in patch 8. Which of these subclasses are you most excited to try out when it eventually does drop? Personally, I'm so excited for the Hex Blade Warlock. I love playing Pact of the Blade Warlocks and being able to combine aspects of Paladin smites, but upcast via Warlock spell slots with elements of Rangers and Undead summoning. Just sounds like so much fun. The Swashbuckler and the Circle of Stars Druid also sound like a ton of fun to me, and I'm really excited to play around with the Swarmkeeper Ranger so that I can channel my inner Mothman. Let me know any and all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one.